Hey everybody, welcome to a special installment of the Cipher Drive series. I'm making this video today so that I can go ahead and announce that I will be discontinuing the project. I don't know if anyone was getting anything out of it. I mean, I was getting a little bit out of it, and there was a sizable number of views on YouTube, in the like 50s to 100 per video. So hopefully somebody was enjoying it a little bit, but it's basically fallen off the bottom of my priority list at this point because I'm getting plenty of programming practice on my other programming work, and now I've also decided to focus my attention on helping making educational materials for Handmade Network, and I'm doing a lot of research on that in my free time, which means I'm not spending my free time thinking about this anymore. And since I'm not getting much out of it personally at this point, given all the other programming I'm using to keep myself busy, I don't really need a third thing to keep me busy, third or fourth, depending on how you count my projects. This will be the last video on Cipher Drive that I put out for a while. And since I'm discontinuing, I'm not going to do any programming. I'm just going to one last time go over what the goal of Cipher Drive was, so that if I ever decide to re-pick it up, I can see where I was in the project, and so that if anyone else looks at it and thinks, oh, that's a neat idea, I'd like to finish what Alan started, you can try to make your own project that is similar. I might also release the code, but I probably won't, because it's just not good code, which is another reason that I'm leaving the project behind, because I don't like where the code base is. I don't like really where I was planning to go with it, so there's just not much in it for me anymore. But before I call it quits and put this on the shelf possibly forever, or at least indefinitely until I have free time and want to do it again, I'm going to run the game one more time. So basically, the idea of the game was this. It's the ship exists on one of a bunch of lanes, and they wrap around, so if you go far enough up, you end up right where you started. And the F1 key there is what's turning that debug stuff on. When you press up and down, it moves you between lanes one at a time. Now, the point of this game was to be kind of like a standard shmup, except make some of the mechanics discrete instead of continuous like they normally are, like the obstacles and your position. And then make the challenge of the game not that you're dodging stuff necessarily, but that there's got to be a bit of strategy in it, because at any given time there's only a single hand of 5 or maybe however many cards, 4 or 6, who knows, haven't designed that part yet, that tell you what you can and can't do. And then in between runs you get new cards and you build a deck and such. And so as you play, the actions you take are based on what things were drawn from the deck, and so you have to kind of do some hand management while you're doing all the other things you normally do in a shmup. Was basically the idea. Make a kind of a collectible game that was a solo card computer game kind of thing. The game design itself wasn't meant to be too crazy in that respect, but that was the idea there. Might return to it someday, but I think if I was going to do a card game, action game, I would actually do a different genre other than this. I don't know, I'd have to think about it. Let me show you guys a couple of the things that I have and was planning to do. So let's see, F8 causes the game to pause. That pause just works by not running the update step anymore in the main loop. And then I can hit F1 to bring up the debug stuff. F2 brings up this, which is where most of the work has actually gone, which was the real point of this project. Was, for me, especially after getting started, was trying to make this in-game editor, and it kind of works. You can, if I remember correctly, you can move these things around, right? Maybe I have to hold M down to move things, or H. There was something you had to do there. I just clicked in between and made a new one. Didn't mean to do that. H, did that do it? What was it? L, Shift. No, stop it. Yeah, I can't remember now how to move these things around. There was definitely a way to do it. but I've forgotten now. The idea was to be able to edit this hierarchy while the game is running, or like pause it and edit it, so that you can do things like, here's an asteroid, right? This is one of the blue asteroids, and be able to just drag in a different version of that image and replace this asteroid with that one to see what it looks like in game right away. So you can just sort of swap in assets, and then I was going to make an asset type which was basically describing an obstacle, and an asset type describing a card, and so on, so that your whole asset hierarchy could have the actual objects of a game, have an asset type that is a level, and basically kind of build a little generic game engine right inside the game so that you can play while you're making it. I keep on accidentally creating empty new spots everywhere because I originally was going to fix that, but I haven't gotten around to it, and now there's just these empty new spots that are kind of busted and shouldn't be there. But I ran into a bunch of mistakes, or I made a bunch of mistakes while I was going that I didn't realize were mistakes until later on. Shoot, I did it again, made another new. The biggest mistake was I overcomplicated the problem of representing this hierarchy. I wanted to make it a compact data format that the game operates on. I should have known better than to try to do that, because it runs into problems like as soon as you want to add a new flag to your asset type or something and you need a new field in the struct, you have to screw up all of the data you have for the game, and then so that means you have to write a converter from the old format to the new one where you insert 4 bytes into each asset, and you know, a lot of bad stuff like that. So I really should have focused on making a flexible asset system at the front end, and then making the sort of compact version for ship later on. That would have saved me a lot of time. Some other things I didn't get to do, I wanted to be able to drag and drop, like the images are all in bitmaps. I wanted to be able to drag and drop PNGs. I wanted to be able to drag and drop font files like TTF files and things. I wanted to be able to like associate different entities, so there'd be like the player entity, the obstacle entity, the card entities, and things like this, and you'd be able to edit them, including setting which image they attach to and all that kind of stuff. It's not there. Yeah, that's basically my review of the things I did on this project. The number one takeaway is if you're going to make an in-game editor, you have to use a more flexible asset system than you would use if you were just packing assets together tightly for, in some kind of separate pipeline, because you have to be able to edit them. You have to be able to trust that your existing data won't go out the window as soon as you change how the data works a little bit. So that's it. That's everything I'm going to do for Cipher Drive for a while. Thank you all if you've been following along with the project and engaged in it. Hopefully the things that we all do in the future will be more interesting than this was, because I found this to get pretty boring by the end when it became clear that the engine wasn't coming together. But either way, see you guys around, and bye-bye.